At the start of the 2011-2012 season, Chelsea were coming off of an all-time high. They had just been crowned champions of Europe, winning the UCL final for the first time in their history against the Bavarian giants Bayern Munich. Some of their star players were entering their prime years, while others were becoming experienced players for the club. So in the summer of 2012, they decided to splash that Champions League bonus to bring in some additional firepower, getting future club legends Eden Hazard and Cesar Azpilicueta from Lille and Marseille for a combined fee of €40 million. But they would also acquire a young Brazilian maestro, a player with infinite talent that would go on to become one of football's greatest what-if stories. People who watched this guy play would fall in love with his quick dribbling, smooth passing, and his ability to make the game flow. I remained mesmerized watching him during the 2014 World Cup, and he remains, after 7 years, one of my favorite players of all time. I'm talking about Oscar Dos Santos Emboaba Jr., or simply Oscar, who was acquired from Brazilian side Internacional for €32 million, leaving them after 2 years at the club with 57 appearances and 15 goals, signing a contract that would tie him for 5 years at the Blues. His debut would come in Chelsea's opener against Wigan Athletic, subbing on for fellow new signing Eden Hazard, while his first start would see him feature in a 2-2 draw against Juventus, where he scored this screamer, which would then go on to win Goal of the Season in the Champions League. His performances were decent enough to see his name on the starting sheet again the same week against Stoke. His Champions League campaign would be brightened by 2 more goals, both coming against Ukrainian side Shakhtar Donetsk. But this would prove to not be enough for Chelsea to advance through to the knockout rounds, as they found themselves in 3rd place and therefore forcing them into a Europa League playoff. Following the departure of Di Matteo in favour of Rafa Benitez, Oscar's playing time saw a sharp hit, missing out on a Club World Cup final against Corinthians due to technical decisions. His first appearance on the score sheet in the Prem would come in an 8-0 thrashing of Aston Villa, while his first piece of silverware will come off of the back of a successful campaign in the Europa League, beating teams like Sparta Prague, Steaua Bucharesti, Rubin Kazan, and FC Basel in the knockouts before defeating Benfica in the final. In his first season in London, he would feature in 64 games, playing in several different competitions, involving himself in 21 goals. His form would take a slight dip in the following season due to lesser games being available for him to play, but out of the 47 games he featured in, he managed to assist 7 and score 11. He showed sparks of his talent with stellar performances against Southampton and Arsenal. During this year, he was mostly deployed as a central attacking midfielder, but he is able to play in all 3 of the positions behind the striker if needed. As shown in later years of his career, he can also be used behind the offensive midfielders and play as a sort of mezzala. In the summer of 2014, it was time for one of the most exciting periods in football, as Oscar's nation was the host of the World Cup. Brazil were heavy favorites to win it all, but we all know how that went. Oscar started every game, getting them to the semi-finals where they would face off against, spoiler alert, eventual champions Germany. A game that will hold a special place in football history. During the tournament, he scored twice, including the goal that gave the Brazilian fans a tiny bit of relief in their game against the Germans. Despite the final result, again Oscar showed glimpses of his enormous potential. With Mourinho, Oscar saw his minutes again getting reduced. He would also have to give up his number 11 in favor of returning legend Didier Drogba, and would claim the number 8. He would feature in only 41 matches, but still maintaining his streak of at least 10 goal contributions in every season he's been at the club with 16. This year would also see him add a Premier League medal to his trophy cabinet. A hamstring injury would mean that he'd miss out on the final games in the Prem, and also that he'd be sidelined for the upcoming Copa America in Chile. His game time would remain largely the same in 2015-2016, playing 2,438 minutes, scoring 8 and assisting 5 in the Prem. He would play a marginal role in Brazil's World Cup qualification campaign, as injuries and also the technical choices of the Seleção's manager meant that he had more frequent appearances off the bench, as they were going through a change in the chain of command, as the head coach Danga had been replaced with Tite. The winter transfer window of 2016 would also be one of the biggest turning points arguably in modern football, as player salaries were redefined. This was down to a league called the CSL, or Chinese Super League, the top league in China, who were trying out a new technique that would later be copied by Saudi Arabia, convincing players to go to their league on pure spending power, offering the highest wages that were unmatchable at the time. A lot of players made the switch, including Hulk, El Shaarawy, and Oscar, as Shanghai Port put in a reported bid of $60 million to acquire him on a contract of $20 million per year, making him at the time one of the highest paid players ever. So after 4 years in London, Oscar was set for a new chapter in China. In his 203 appearances for Chelsea, he scored 38 goals and assisted 31. In his first season for the Chinese club, he would score 9 and assist 17, marking a new personal best for him. But once he got used to the league, it wouldn't take long for him to shatter that record, as the following season with 40 appearances he clocked in 40 goal contributions, basically 1 per game, scoring 16 and assisting 24 while playing in 4 different competitions. His next few seasons would be along similar lines as he remained in China and became one of the highest earning players worldwide. His 2018-19 season finished with 14 goals and 23 assists. The following year, the league was stopped in China due to COVID, so most of the championship went unplayed. In 2020-2021, he was entering his 4th year in Shanghai, as this was also the season he became the official club captain, role that he still is to this day. With only 25 games played, he managed to score 5 and assist 16. For his 2021-22 season, not much can be found. On Transfer Market, he has it listed as special leave for almost the entirety of the year, so I'll just skip through this one. He returned the following year, playing less games due to Shanghai Port being in less competitions but still contributing to 24 goals. Oscar is one of the biggest what-if story of football. At his peak, he was argued to be the next Brazilian superstar, but in 2016, he made a career-defining decision that ultimately changed his life, making him one of the highest paid players ever. But he had to sacrifice his career and future glory to achieve this. He said in an interview in 2017, "When I made my decision to come here, I was thinking more about my family than my career." His manager Vitor Pereira, who was in charge of Shanghai Port from 2017 to 2020, said this about him: "When he was in form, he could transform games. And if he would have chosen his career, it would be interesting to see the heights he would have touched today." Hello everybody, welcome to the Midzala channel. I hope you enjoyed the video. On here I like to talk about anything and everything football related. If you liked my first video, please consider dropping a like and subscribing. I'm already working on the next video, which will be about the decline of the Italian national team. Anyways, thanks for sticking with me and happy football. Bye everyone.